How much is traffic? I got a better question. How much is a customer? How much does it cost to get a customer? Well, I'm going to break it down because there's 3 main steps I want you thinking about. And if you increase the robustness of any one of the 3, you're drastically lowering the cost of that customer. Let's go. So first of all, let's talk about the 3 phases. You got 1, 2, and 3. This is not an original. I mean, what is original, right? But this is not an original claim. I got this from Chris Record. I love how he kind of breaks this down into like 3 C's. And this is talking about creating traffic. Okay, so we need some traffic, and then we need leads. At some point, we need people to kind of learn about us and know something about us, and then hopefully even more than that, like starting to really kind of put their antenna up and capture their attention, and then sales. And so I've kind of broken this down into even over the years. I've kind of broken this down because there's like a little mini segment right there. That's some nurturing that goes on between here and there, and some people totally skip and they botch it. Let's just talk about online traffic, because this is the thing that comes up. Let me put an ad up here. Let's just say this is a Facebook ad. All right, I'm going to throw out some numbers. So if numbers make you queasy, then get some Dramamine or something like that. This makes it practical. Now, most of small business people who own businesses, they don't have a landing page. Now that's jargony. Okay, so jargon alert landing page. A landing page is simply this. If this was an ad for camel hair wigs, what did I think of that? Then this landing page is going to be about one thing and one thing only: camel hair wigs. I don't even know if that's a thing. Now, what most businesses don't have is a landing page. So what do? They send traffic to their homepage. Now that can be a no-no, but you're looking at someone that's like, I'm not totally against that, because it's just reality. Like, I would rather have traffic going to a persuasive homepage that very clearly and very quickly states your value, and then you can actually convert. You can actually take a lot of that traffic and do something with it. Let's go that route, because again, I want to give you practical advice with things that you have. I don't want you to have to go and create this and be like, well, what tool do I use for that? How do I got to hire a designer or not, or a tech person to get that up and running? Well, right now, let's just say it is what it is. Okay, it's not tricked out. It's not any good. And then over here, let me grab another block, I guess. Here, sales. I'm not gonna put that up here. So sales would be for many small businesses and service providers, retailers, that it'd be foot traffic. They come in, they make a purchase if it's like retail, but if it's a service provider, it's a phone call or sending at least a phone call. Like, that's the action that happens prior to the transaction. Like, they send somebody out, and then at some point soon there will be a transaction. But it's like, this is the thing that has to happen before a transaction, before you create a buyer. Let's say you get 1,000 people. Now, I'm going to throw out, again, don't quote me on this. I'm going to throw out $750 to get 1,000 people off of this Facebook ad. Okay, so now how did I get that number? Because it's kind of reasonable to pay 75 cents a click. So 75 cents, 750, that's 1,000 people. So let's say 1,000 people go to your homepage. Now, most homepages are just a bunch of options. They're very they claim to be informational, but they take the brain and they say, make a decision here, or this, or this, or here's this. And the brain gets overwhelmed, and we just clock out. We clock out fast. Rather it be like I heard, this is not an original thought either, but it's like a multiple choice exam. Instead of 3 choices or 5 choices, most homepages will give 20 choices, and some, especially some of the more dated ones, they'll give just like dozens of choices. And the thinking of the person who owns that business is more like, well, if I can get them to the homepage, they can make up their own mind. They can I don't know where they are. I don't know what they're dealing with right now. You know what? I'll just be lazy about it. I don't have to. I'll just send them to the homepage and they'll make up their own mind. That's not how it works, though, because what you can expect out of that is people to just close the window. They'll hit the back button. So out of this 1,000, it is very likely, I'm just throwing these numbers, I'm not just throwing these numbers out, but it's very likely that 1% will do anything. What's 1% of 1,000? It's 10. Let's just say 10 people out of that 1,000 they're like hot and ready, they're ready to buy. Where they are in the sales cycle, they are dealing with their problem, like their needle is on 10, or their needle's like on 9, right? And they have to go through this final step and get with you. So here's a question for you, okay? Here's something to think about. What if this homepage could be more clearer? What if it could state more clearly what you do in a non-commoditized way? Now, what I mean by commoditized, like me too, we are this, and this is exactly what we do, and you can go find 10 more people right here in this town, and they kind of do that same thing that we do. Now, that's a commodity, right? Doesn't matter if you go to Dollar General or Walmart, you're going to find that commodity. That's not what I'm saying here. But what if we could optimize this, where instead of 10 people that go and make this call, and by the way, it's very likely that 10% of that 10, which is one, might be a customer. I've paid $750 in this example. I'm not just throwing that out there. I'm not just like throwing wild numbers. It is likely that traffic can be 75 cents. That's not the goal. You know, the goal is to get it low. The goal is to get it down to a penny if you can. That's great if you can do it. You know, 18 cents, 6 cents, 23 cents, whatever. The goal is to get that click to cost lower. That's not what we're going to cover in this video though. That's this one right here. I mean, what if you could make that awesome too? Great, you're lowering the cost, but that's a multifaceted lesson right there. Okay, but let's go back here to the homepage. So you got 10 people, you got one person. The cost, CPA, not the certified public accountant, but the cost per acquisition. Oh, we're talking jargon, Drew. Cost per acquiring that customer costs $750. That's essentially what it is. And most businesses are not having any mechanism or thinking about following up. What about the other 9 that picked up the phone? I mean, now we're talking about optimizing, you know, area 3. You're talking about the capturing the sale. So let's go back here. What if we could increase this 10 to 100? Now you might say, whoa, Drew, that's a 10x. What you know, multiply 10 by 10, 10 times 10 is 100. What if we could do that? Listen, that is not to send 1,000 people to a page and get 100, get 10% of the 1,000 to do something instead of 1%. So getting 10%, this is getting a little crowded. All right. So getting those people to do something, like speaking to them really purposefully, is that in a purpose-like manner? That's likely. So what are you going to do with them? What if you had some kind of way to create, all right, some more jargon if you haven't heard of this, some kind of opt-in, you know, some kind of invitation. I'm going to give you something that's going to help you where you are right now. If you nail this, it's likely that you can get, I don't know about all 100, but you can get a percentage of them to opt in, and then way not yet to the sale, but crammed in here, I'm looking at my camera, but crammed in here, you have emails. Now, Drew, what are you saying? Like the next day, like next Tuesday, I can then make a sale? No, I don't know. I mean, maybe, I don't know how, you know, but the point is it's not just to engage with them, but it's to, people call this nurture, or there's a nurturing system here, but the point is that you can lower the cost of the acquisition from $750, if that's how much you're paying for traffic, even if this ad is not great, even if it's 75 cents a click, even if that doesn't go down, which we'll talk later about how to get that done, but even if that ad, even if you still get the same amount of traffic and you send it right here, what if you could increase the rate of how persuasive and how effective this was at getting more people to request permission to reach out to them, all right, and then send them down. You can automate this too. This can be like a setup thing, and then you can, you know, it can be automated. What if you could do that? Retailers, you have such a leg up because you have who doesn't want to buy stuff, right? Lots of people don't want to be sold stuff, but who doesn't want to buy stuff? Like everybody wants to buy stuff. And then service providers, you have a leg up too, because if you give me something that's really, here, let me pull another. If you give me some kind of tool that's really going to help me in the moment I am, where I am right now, it's really going to help me in my life. I want that. I'll gladly give you my email address, and then you can keep in touch with me. And then there are ways to even optimize this even further. But let's just leave that lesson there. I'm talking fast for the whole thing. I want to get that out. But this is a huge deal. What if just think about that? What can I do today to make my homepage more persuasive? All right, what can I do to the message? All right, how can the message be clearer to my person? And then I'm talking about this opt-in mechanism. What can I do to here, message and offer? What can I offer them, and to that would just make it a no-brainer? What can I offer them to say, hey, keep in touch. You might not be ready for this right now, but keep in touch. And this one can easily hop up to, good grief, I mean, even if it's 10, you've decreased the cost per acquisition from 750 to 75. Now 750 is fine if you're selling like a $751 product, but most of us are not. That's way too high. It's just way too much. And this is where I've heard people say, well, I've tried that. I've tried Google AdWords, or I've tried online paid advertising. I've tried that sponsored advertising. I can't get it to work. It doesn't work for me. Well, I beg to differ. I've seen it work, but I'm not saying it's easy either. But hopefully this lesson gives you some ideas to take and work into your stuff and work into your thinking. Even if you don't have a homepage, you got something. Even if you're doing traditional advertising, some print and radio and TV. I don't know many people out there doing that because it's ridiculously expensive. But no matter what you're doing, what are you talking about here? I already want to get like into these other three and into that right there. I already want to do it, but there's not time. All right, so take that. Leave a comment. Remember to subscribe to the channel, and then now YouTube's got to click out a little bell, and so you get notifications. So the once every, I don't know, a few months I get to do one of these, then you'll get a notification on it. All right, so share this if you know someone else that would get some good out of it. Share it, subscribe, notifications and all that, and I'll see you on the next video.